Welcome. This is Dr. Rahman, and it has been a moment. I may actually look different. I have no hair, and that's because I've been devoting the past couple of weeks to swimming. And I just really didn't want the hassle of having to deal with hair. And so I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. But I've missed you. But I want you to know that I've spent a lot of time thinking about what next? What next with the podcast? And is there more to this than just a podcast? And the answer is yes. I'm not going to share all of that with you today. More to come. Stay tuned. I welcome your feedback. I honestly welcome your feedback as we maneuver through these changes, because let me speak for myself. I have realized that we have a wonderful opportunity, and we want to take advantage of it because I believe that the information provided is needed, unbiased. Um, we just want the facts. We want people to be informed. We want women, particularly Black women, to value their health. And health for us has always been, health for me has always been a very broad definition, including financial, physical, emotional, social well-being. And so one of the things that we're expanding into is talking more about pregnancy, because we are committed to eliminating the racial health disparity that we see in this country. Also, whether you're Black or white, the maternal mortality rate in this country is too high. And as a OBGYN, and as a woman, and as a Black woman, and as someone who has some knowledge, I want to share that in hopes that it will help. And so we've started what's called 40 weeks. 40 weeks of pregnancy. And each week I'll take a very basic question and just talk about it so that we are all on the same page. We're all understanding the same thing. I have learned over time that often health professionals will assume that you know what we're talking about when we say things, and that's not often true. And so I want to take the time to just talk about some very basic concepts and issues related to pregnancy, starting with, why do we say 40 weeks of pregnancy? If a woman is pregnant for 9 months and there are 4 weeks in a month, 9 times 4 is 36 and not 40. So why are we saying 40 weeks of pregnancy? The answer is this, drum roll. Because we're counting from the first day of her last normal menstrual cycle, because that's a lot more predictable, a lot more memorable sometimes than the date of conception. And in a woman that has a normal cycle, meaning it's a menstrual cycle that comes every 28 days, lasting 4 to 7 days, we know that she will ovulate 2 weeks after the first day of her last normal menstrual cycle. And if we know that that's a predictable spacing, we can then assume that if this was her last period, she ovulated 2 weeks later, got pregnant within that time period, then we can start counting the pregnancy based on that first day of the last normal menstrual period. And so when we use the first day of the last normal menstrual period and not the day of conception, we have 280 days or 40 weeks of pregnancy. Make sense? If not, send me feedback, send more questions. Help me to make it as crystal clear as it has to be. So, but there's a proviso here. If we are counting from her last menstrual period, we are making the assumption that that last period was a normal period, meaning it didn't come at an unexpected time. It was the usual type of period in terms of the amount of bleeding and the number of days of bleeding. And if she is someone who doesn't have a history of normal menstrual cycles, using that date is not a reliable source for dating the pregnancy. In fact, a first trimester ultrasound, meaning an ultrasound that's done within the first 13 weeks of a pregnancy, is considered the most reliable way to date a pregnancy. And dating a pregnancy is very important because we want to know, is this a term pregnancy or is it preterm or post-term? And there are medical complications and scenarios that we have to deal with if a baby's preterm or post-term. So dating the pregnancy is of the utmost importance. In the past, we've used last normal menstrual period, but that's assuming she has a normal period. If she doesn't have a normal period, then we have to rely on an ultrasound. And in fact, the first trimester ultrasound has become the most reliable way to date a pregnancy. So that's it. I look forward to talking to you next week about how many prenatal visits does a pregnant woman actually need? Really important question. Please stay tuned. If you happen to see this on YouTube, I have to ask, like, subscribe. This is a new little mini series called 40 Weeks. 40 weeks of a pregnancy shared with a pregnant woman. Give me feedback, send me questions. I look forward to the next time and telling you about all the other changes that are coming along the way. Until then, this is Dr. Rahman. Talk with you soon.